How's it going, gang? It's a Final Render here, and welcome to an exciting Fallout 76 news update. We actually haven't had much Fallout 76 news at all for quite a long time, actually, so we haven't done a news video in a very long time, but today, the public test server was released onto the PC version of Bethesda.net's launcher for Fallout 76, and we have got a lot of really cool stuff to talk about that is coming out in the brand new update, which is going to be released on April 27th, so quite a long way away before this update comes out, but we've got some really cool quality of life improvements and some new gameplay additions, which are really gonna be cool. However, one thing I do want to say to people is that everything we're going to talk about in this video is to do with the public test server. So content that currently hasn't been released yet. So if you don't want to be spoiled about anything, then please look away from this video and come back after April 27th to see some more new stuff about this kind of thing. There's no story content or anything like that for the most part, so therefore you're not actually losing out on any story or anything, but if you want to see some of the cool new stuff coming out into the game, then you can carry on with this video. And of course, if you want to go and play the public test server yourself, all you got to do is download the game on the Bethesda.net launcher on PC, and you'll automatically have access to the public test server whenever it is up and down. It kind of comes and goes in incremental things when there's updated tests. So, let's get ready to go and talk about this thing. So the first major thing that we have got in the public test server is the addition of camp slots. Now, camp slots are something which I've been looking forward to for quite a while. And camp slots are something really cool to where we can actually have multiple different camps saved to our characters. And this is really cool because it's very hard to allow more budget in the game. Because the budget is a very hard technical limit. It's about keeping the world, running at a decent FPS and stuff. However, we can just go and get more camps. So that's a nice thing. We can have up to one camp active at any one time, but we can have lots and lots of camps saved to our character. All we have to do is decide and assign which camp is going to be active at that time, and then we can go and assign it, and that camp will appear in the world. You can also go and name all of your various camps, and you can give them different icons on the map, which is a nice thing, so you can tell the difference between them. You can go and activate and deactivate camps whenever you want. You can't do them too rapidly. I presume the actual server needs to kind of load them in and stuff like that first. You can't just kind of spam them open, spam them close, etc. But it works really, really well so far. And another nice little addition to the camp system is there is now going to be a new beacon which you can turn on and off on the main map. So therefore, if you don't want people to be able to find your camp, you can just turn off the beacon and then players will not see your camp on the main map, which is a nice thing. Another addition to the camps which has come in to do with these slots is that vendors will actually have their item lists saved. So therefore, if you'll go ahead and deactivate a camp and then reactivate it again, any vendors inside that camp you reactivated will still have those stores, items will be the same price and stuff like that, unless of course you take it out. But for the most part, everything that you do in order to save your camp will still be there when you go to a different camp. The only important thing to do with this is that when you go to place down a new camp, make sure you actually go back into the camp slot menu and assign a blank camp. Otherwise, you will not be able to go back to the other camp because you'll accidentally erase it. So make sure you do that. But besides that, camp slots is just a great thing. It's hard to give more budget, but it's great to go ahead and give more camps. But also, one other thing which I should mention as well is that this doesn't actually affect shelters. Shelters, however, do have another nice little addition, which is something which I think not enough people are talking about. And that is that the shelters will actually now have display and vending added to them, which is a really nice thing. Don't get me wrong, having vendors inside your shelter probably isn't the best thing because players have got to then go through multiple loading zones in order to get to your shop. That could be quite annoying. However, one thing that is really good about it is that the displays are now active. So therefore, you could go and have a shelter, which is just a giant museum for all of your collectible stuff, which is really, really good. Next up, we have a change to Daily Ops. Finally, it's been a long time since we've seen any kind of new additions to the Daily Ops system, but we have got some really cool things here. Primarily, we have got a brand new mission type in Daily Ops called Decryption, and this is very different to the last one we had, because what this one does is that it is focusing purely on stealth. The last one was all about guns and action, so therefore the enemies had a special ability called Piercing Gaze, which meant the enemies always knew where you were. But with this new one, you are focused on stealth, and there are also new enemies, new locations, and new mutations, which is something very, very exciting. So I went ahead and played this one, and I was very, very impressed by how well it actually ran despite being quite a slow and stealthy mission, because you think stealth doesn't really work well with daily ops because you're meant to do it in a time limit. However, it was still fast-paced enough to where I can be sneaking around and still do a really good job and getting it done within the Elder tier time limit. So that's very, very cool. The stealth doesn't slow it down at all, but what it does do is mean that certain people, such as myself, who now have Stealth Commando builds, more on that in a moment when we talk about player special slots, but now we actually have an ability for those players to actually do well in daily ops, because they were kind of left out with the last one. Stealth builds never did well. But one thing which is also really cool about this is that the actual event itself is very refreshing, and it does feel very different to the previous one. How these events work, the footage you're going to be looking at right now is me doing it at the Watoga Raider Arena, which is a very cool event, very cool location, that was first added with the Wasteland DLC, and the enemies were based around mole miners, so new enemy type right there, and they also had a brand new mutation on them called regenerating, and this was when there were multiple of them in a group, they would regenerate their health over time. So therefore, you had to go ahead and pick them off one by one until eventually some of them wouldn't have any people around them to heal each other. So it's a pretty nice thing to do that, actually. But anyways, with this actual event, what you would have to do is go in and kill a certain amount of creatures in order to bring out a creature which had a code bearer. And then you would kill that code bearer, who would then drop his code, and then you would use that code to deactivate a transmitter. You had to do that 3 times, and before you can actually go and deactivate the 3rd transmitter, the final code bearer is a boss enemy. In this case, we actually had a mole miner who actually had Fat Man rounds, which was very, very scary, but also pretty darn cool. And of course, the nice thing about the daily ops is that the more of them, the better. I presume we will still have the older one in rotation as well, so we still kind of get both sets. But I think it was a very cool, refreshing addition to daily ops, because daily ops I really, really enjoy, but only having one mission since the first part of Steel Dawn releasing has been quite tedious, I'm not gonna lie, especially with how much us players have actually been using them. And it's really good that some of the other classes, primarily stealth-based classes or extreme bloody builds, are now much more viable in daily ops. So overall, great new addition to the game. And then finally, I just mentioned it slightly, we actually have a brand new thing which has been wanted in the game since day 1 of the actual game being released. And that is, of course, perk loadouts, or as they are called, special loadouts. And what these special loadouts do is that they allow us to completely respec our characters. We can go and move special points as much as we want, as often as we want, for free, and it means we can build different types of class which use different types of weapons whenever we feel like doing something different, or say if we get a really cool gun that would be really good with a specific class and we want to give it a try and kind of min-max that build. How this will work is that at every train station, you will be able to find a punch-out card, which is a machine which you can use to assign your special loadouts. You can also build these in your camps or in your shelters once you hit level 25. And you can actually use this machine to assign all the special loadout sections. You can go and assign the perks into those special loadouts, and you can even name them as well, so you can actually organize what kind of characters you want to have. Me personally, I've pretty much been spec'd as a heavy gunner for the last several months. However, I do have a lot of really good equipment to be a stealth commando, so therefore I have gone and built myself a stealth commando. The only problem with it is that you do still need to have the special cards in order to assign to this new special loadout. However, if you have those cards, you can go and start using it straight away. No questions asked. It's a really nice feature, and it works really, really well. One thing which is important to mention is that this does not actually affect legendary perks. So if you really wanted to properly min-max, you would also have to have some perk coins in order to reassign those legendary perks every time you swap as well. But it's just a pretty nice system. There's nothing really else to say about it. It works really, really well. And as I said, this is the feature which players have wanted pretty much since the game came out. So therefore, I'm really, really happy we've got this. It's a fantastic way to respec your character quickly and easily. Way better than the older system we had of kind of adding and subtracting perk points whenever we actually leveled up. So therefore, I am really, really happy with this, and I can't wait to go and give it a go and have multiple classes which I can go and have on my character. It's very, very cool. So that was our first look at the Fallout 76 PTS. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you leave a like, give it a thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And when there's more Fallout 76 news, we'll be here to cover it. So thank you very much. This has been the final render, and you've been the audience. Until next time, farewell. Special thank you to all of our YouTube members and Patreon supporters. A special thank you to our level 3 members, which currently consists of PsykerGirl, Katrina McKenna, and Ravensroost.